So the next step is to import the files that we did in the previous video into Access. So what we're essentially doing is this whole process of normalizing to third normal form. And these are the steps that we're trying to take to get to that point. So in the previous video, we took all the data which is relatable to its own spreadsheet. We made sure that each field is only dependent on the primary key in that spreadsheet, and we remove the duplicates. So just make sure this makes sense. If I go to venue type, remember it's a .csv, and we look at it, and we just look at venue type. Venue type is only dependent on the venue type code, so this one is in that form. We don't have to worry about that. If we look at venue, every single field in the venue table is only dependent on the venue code. Place of employment, address of employment, venue type code. We can all get this from the venue code. It's our primary key. So that's fine. Then we look at jobs. So in this table, job description is only dependent on the job code. We can find every single job description by just knowing what the job code is. So that is correct. And then the last one, the employees. So let's just take a moment just to check all this is fine. If we look at the employees, you'll see that basically all this information over here, when we go to Access, because it's employees, remember if we're talking about people, and there is no ID for each person, there's no pay number, there's no way already to identify each person, then we're going to let Access add its own primary key. So this case, this is fine. All this information, when we assign that primary key, will be dependent on that primary key. Okay, so just remember about that employees. If there's no pay numbers or anything like that to uniquely identify a person, you will let Access assign its own primary key. And just keep in mind that when we looked at each of the primary key in each of those tables, there were no duplicates. Okay, so the primary keys were all unique. There were no duplicate primary keys. Okay, so now we can import this into Access. So open up Access. Right, so let's just let this load. Computer's a bit slow. Access. Okay, so basically this part, sort of the hardish part, putting the files in their own spreadsheets. I click on blank database. Okay, so to import a file into Access, you go to external data, text file. You go to the location where your files that you want to import are. Remember, they're going to be .csv files. So let's start with jobs. Then we're going to say OK. So it's a bit slow. Give it time though. It's always delimited. You go next. You tick the first row contains field names. Okay. Let's give it a moment. Go advanced. Most of the time you don't have to do this, but let's just do it anyway just to be safe. You can see that job codes here, these are all letters, so that's text or short text, that's correct. Restaurant staff, this is all text, so that's fine. It's okay. Next. We don't do anything here. Next. We can choose a primary key if we can see there's a unique code. So we saw job code. Job code is the primary key, so we just make sure that is selected here. Then we go next and finish. So that is the first table done. Close. Next one. External data. Text file. Browse. Do the next file. So now let's do venue. So okay. Always delimited. Next. First row contains field names. Just say okay if it ever asks you a question like this. Advanced. And just looking. Place of employment. Address of employment. All this all looks like text. So text, 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 text. Venue code, it's text. Venue. Type. Code. This last one here is also text. So nothing to change there. So next, choose the primary key. We saw that venue code was the primary key for this table. There we go, next, and finish. There we go, close. Next table, text file, browse. So let's do the employees. This okay. Okay, if it's already open, it means I've got to close the spreadsheet. So here's the employees. I'm just going to close this. Now I can import it to text file, browse, employees. So okay. Always delimited. Next. Tick the first row contains field names. Advanced. So let's make sure it looks alright. This is all text, and all four of these columns. So that's all text or short text. So you can say okay. Next. Next. Now this is the case. There is no unique primary key to identify each person. So you have to let Access add its own primary key. So 1 represents, for example, this person. 2, Anna Fink, etc., etc. Next, and finish. They've got one more table. So text file. So just hang in there, browse. And the last one is the venue type. Open. Okay. So just remember this process. It's always delimited. Next. First row contains field names. Advanced. You can see just already both of these columns are text and text. That's what we have. So you say okay. Next. So your computer might say short text, but that's correct. Choose the primary key. We know venue type code is the primary key. Next. Finish. And close. Okay, so now we have imported the tables into Access. We're going to make sure the field names are short and meaningful, consistent, and data types are correct. So we've checked the data types, that part's done. We made sure that they're all text, etc. If they're numbers, we'd make them numbers, etc. But there was nothing to change, so that's sorted for us. So field names are short, meaningful, and consistent. So if we double click on employees, employees will come up. So remember, you cannot have spaces in between text in your fields. So what you got to do is go to Home, View, Design View, Job Code. What I'm going to do, you either can have an underscore to represent a space, or you can combine the text together and maybe use a capital letter for the second word. So for example, venue code, you can make the C for code capitals. So you can either combine them into one word or separate them by an underscore. So I'll combine them into one word for now. So that's employees done. So I'm just going to right click, say save, and then go to the next one. So jobs, double click on jobs. Going to go to view. So you can see here the job code, there's a space here. So I'm going to close this space. But field 2 is not an appropriate name. Field 2 is the job description. So I'm going to go view, design view. Change field 2 to job description. And job code, I'm going to combine. Right click, save. Venue. Let's just enlarge these. Okay, so place of employment, address of employment, field 3, we have to change these. So view, design view. I'm going to put underscores between these. In fact, what I might do is just call this address 1. Because that's the first address. You see, for this table, there's the first address and there's the second address. So I'm just going to address 1. Then I'm going to say address 2. Venue code, combine. Venue type code, let's combine. And that table's there, so right click save. And the last one's venue type. So same situation. So I'm going to combine venue type code and venue type. And then right click, save. Okay, cool. So now we've done that step. We've made him have proper names. It's not like field 2 or something that's not meaningful. We've made them meaningful by making a job description. We've removed the spaces, and so everything looks okay so far. So the final step now to make our 3NF form database is to make relationships between the tables. So relationships, you got database tools, relationships. Double click on each table you've imported. So we've got our 4 tables. Just lengthen each box if you need to. Separate them a bit if you need to. And now what you're generally going to do is you're going to take the primary key from one table and find out where you can link it in another table. So for example, venue type code here, I can drag to venue type code here. Let go, it's going to create a one-to-many relationship, so I'm going to say create. Then let's take job code here to job code over here. Create. You can take venue code here and link it to venue code here. Create. And now you're going to make sure that each table, somehow all 4 of these tables are connected. Okay, so until all tables are joined. So all tables are joined here. So that is the relationship formed. Right click and say save. And then usually you might not be able to work with your queries if you have your tables in design view, so just go to datasheet view for each table. Else it might say it's being used or something like that. But that is it. So that is how you make a normalized 3NF relational database. Just follow these 6 steps as best as you can.